Hello everyone, today I wanted to show you my workflow to achieve this kind of a 2D look on a 3D scene. So I'm going to show you the different steps of this project and my tips to achieve a 2D painted look. The illustration is from Josie the Goldfish, so don't hesitate to go check the Instagram, it will be in the description. Quick pause before we start. I've started streaming on Twitch mostly on Tuesday and Thursday, so if you want to see more of my process, chat with me and other people, then come follow me. Alright, let's get into it. The first step, of course, is going to be the blockout phase. The goal here is to simply place simple shapes to start building your character and your scene. We are not looking for details at this point, but only like the overall shape and poses. For this step, I mainly use basic shapes like sphere, cube, cylinder, and I also use G-scope mode a lot to help me shape everything without adding any more polygons to my shape, but just to use the grab tool to shape everything. An important thing I also do in this first step is already placing my camera. I'm using an orthographic view here because since I'm following a 2D reference, the orthographic view will be just easier for me. Once you will have all of your elements blocked, we can start sculpting. Before sculpting, I always save a version of my blockout version, just in case I messed up some part while I sculpt, and I need the previous version. So I'm starting to join elements with Ctrl J and then start remeshing mesh by mesh. So I sculpt everything that I need. There aren't many complex shapes here, so I didn't need to sculpt everything. It was mostly the coat and the hands. Let's keep in mind that the purpose of this scene was only for me to practice and getting better at matching a 2D reference. This isn't going to be animated. I didn't plan on doing like a full 360 turn either. My goal was only to make a 3D scene that matched my reference through my camera. So that means that everything that isn't seen by the camera doesn't really matter. And that is something you should keep in mind. It's okay if everything is not perfect in every way. The important is that it's working and that you get the desired results on your camera. Like, of course, if you are doing a character that you're going to be using in a video game or in an animation, you want everything to be perfect. But it's very common, like for example, for animation to have weird deformation as long as it's hidden on the camera. We just want to make our life easier and our workflow faster. Once I've sculpted the elements I needed, before moving on to end painting, I still need to do retopology and UV Unwrap. So I quickly did retopo on my sculpted mesh and I move on to the UV Unwrap. There is nothing too complicated here since I'm not going to be animating anything. So even if my retopo is not like very clean or perfect, it wouldn't really matter. As you can see, you can use Quadriflow to speed up your process, but I suggest you use it only if you already know how to do retopo. We want our workflow to be faster, but we also want to understand how things are working. Also, Quadriflow isn't really perfect. I show you how to use it here, but I most of the time just do the retopo myself. So yeah, once I had retopo the things that I need, I can move on to UV Unwrap everything. I decided to divide my scene into like 3 parts. I put all of the like fisherman UV on the same image, same for the fish and the tentacles, and then one for the bird. I choose a resolution of 4K because the most important thing here were going to be my textures, so that's why I choose to have like a really high definition. And once I had UV unwrapped everything, it was finally time for end painting. There isn't really any magic tricks here to end paint this model. I mostly used the normal default brush, not the soft one because I wanted like a sharp look, just like in the drawing reference. Then to get the right color when it comes to the shadows and the highlights, what I did was to switch the color mode to use either the screen one for the highlights or something like the multiply or darker mode one for the shadows. Then to get some outlines, I did a mix of grease pencil and hand paint on my texture. For the grease pencil, I like this pencil here that have like a wavy effect. I mostly use the grease pencil to add the outlines and some effect like smoke from the cigarette. Then for the background, I did it on Photoshop and I did it on a simple plane with an image texture. Then in order to render everything without having any shadows that will interfere with my hand painting texture, I render everything in Eevee. Then I mixed an emission and a subsurface scattering with a mix shader, and then link my image texture to both of the shader nodes. And then I use this setting for every texture I have on my scene. For the light, I added just 2 area light just to have a little bit of a brighter scene. Then the last thing before having the final result is to do a little bit of post-prod. So before going into the compositing tab, I'm just going into the render tab here and go all the way down to go into the color management section. And I'm going to change the look from base contrast to eye contrast. If you are doing a post-prod in Photoshop, for example, I suggest you stay with the base contrast or even the none, so you have more control on what you do inside Photoshop. Here, since I'm going to use the compositing tab for my post-processing, I can put my look to a high contrast to boost the colors. Then I'm going to go into my world settings and mix 2 background shader. One that will add color onto my highlights and another one that will add colors onto my shadows. Then thanks to the camera I placed at the beginning, where I used the orthographic view, I just have to press render a first time. Once you have a first render, you can go into the compositing tab and click on the use node. As you can see, your render will appear behind. If you want to zoom in into your render, you can do it on the view type on the right here, and just press N if you don't see those windows. For this final part, I use different kind of nodes, so let me just explain what they do. So first, the bloom is mostly to make my background pop a little bit more. Then the length distortion is to make my render a little bit less flat. Then I use a filter to mix some Kuhara node. This node is really great if you want to achieve a painterly look. So I linked them to a sensor noise that will add like a nose grainy effect. Then the split toning is kind of like we already did on the world node. So I added the brandy color for the highlights and the dark brown one for the shadows. Last node I used are some nodes that will boost my colors and my contrast. And once you're happy with what you have, you can just press render again to have all of the nodes applied on your render. And that was basically it for the whole process video. I hope it was helpful for some of you. Of course, there are many ways to achieve like this kind of look or just like a 3D illustrated look, but that's just how I did it for this specific 3D scene. As usual, if you have any question, don't hesitate to drop them in the comment section. I will do my best to answer them. Thanks again for watching this quick process video, and I will see you guys in a next tutorial. Bye!